In the glittering city of Hong Kong is a thriving art market. Collectors and dealers from across East Asia come here for contemporary and classical art. East Asia is the largest continent in the world for auction sales of art and antiquities, with sales of over 6 billion annually. China, including Hong Kong and Taiwan, dominates the market with almost 90% of sales.
The key features of Hong Kong as an art market city are, first of all, the extraordinary growth that's been seen in the art market in the last 10 years or the decade that I've been living in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong is a really good example for us to think about how different culture intersects with each other, in the sense that not only the East and the West, mainland and Hong Kong, but also the contemporary to the ancient.
Hong Kong is a free port, which means that commercial goods can pass through the shipping centres here with minimal fees and inspections.
Hong Kong was set up as a free port, as a free trade port, and it's continued with that particular status, and it has that today, which means that many goods can come into Hong Kong without any duty being paid and can leave Hong Kong without any duty being paid. The whole idea of free port status is very important to some economies. And for Hong Kong, it's considered to be vital to the economy of Hong Kong. Again, it's the basis of the establishment of Hong Kong.
The main problem that comes from such busy ports is customs officers can only check a certain number of shipping containers. In the case of Hong Kong, it's approximately just a bit less than 1% of all containers going through the port.
While big ticket sales of antiques in shops and auction houses grab the headlines, some people have asked where these antiques are coming from, who is paying top dollar for them, and whether the success of the trade has emboldened antique traffickers to use Hong Kong as a port of trade.
Hong Kong has traditionally been the main port of exit for looted or, well, at least exported Chinese artifacts over the last couple decades. You may be able to ship something in Hong Kong, store it there for a while, and then export it again and make it appear like it actually comes legitimately from Hong Kong. The main problem in China is the extent of looting. There's hardly any tombs left. If there are still tombs left, it's often the looters who know about them first, and they take good care of them then.
It is estimated that there are 100,000 full-time tomb raiders in China.
Up to 90% of all archaeological material is destroyed during illegal digs.
Destruction of the Chinese artwork definitely has an impact on the Chinese people psychologically. It's a big population are recognizing these things are being kind of a loss as part of the Chinese culture. So
Hong Kong has a strange anomaly in its laws. It has retained an old principle from English law of market avert, and that, I think, is a big problem, and perhaps a reason that we are seeing more items ascribed to having been bought in Hong Kong. So the market avert principle was an old principle to do with medieval markets in England, where if you went to the market, if you bought an item in good faith, subject to the rules of the market, and if you had no knowledge that the item was stolen, even if it did turn out to be stolen in the future, well, then you would get good title to it. You could keep the property.
A striking example is the golden monk statue now in the Hungarian Natural History Museum in Budapest. The statue is actually the mummified remains of an 11th century Buddhist monk from the region of Fujian. The mummy was set up in a village temple for the people of the community to contemplate and pay their respects. Not so long ago, the monk was stolen from his perch within the temple. When it was displayed in the Budapest Museum in March 2015, villagers there immediately recognized it as a statue that had been stolen from them 20 years earlier. For the villagers, the monk is not a cultural relic. For them, he is a family member. The damage done by art traffickers strikes close to the heart.
There's a very old auction adage which I think is rather important. It is, if in doubt, leave it out.
Leaving it out is a good way for respectable businesses to ensure that they are only selling legal antiques. But there are always other dealers willing to turn a blind eye to the problematic history of an artifact. In doing so, they operate in a grey market whose ethics and legality are murky at best.
Many dealers will decide that it's not in their interest to ask too many questions about the provenance of items that they're purchasing.
Yet there are bigger problems connected with this trade. The Syrian civil war drew international attention to the potential of antiques to finance terrorism. With ancient artifacts vulnerable to widespread looting, but also industrialization and climate change, the stakes for the antiquities market have never been high.
Many questions often are better not asked on both sides, because in the end, the whole purpose of being an auctioneer or an art dealer is to create revenue.
The major problems with the art market, and this is generally in the art market, is that it is subject only to self-regulation.
It's very easy to sell things which might not be, which maybe should not be sold, but no one really can do anything about it. And I can't really see such a practice to really cease to exist, because Hong Kong is simply much too important for trading purposes. It is and will remain one of the main trading and business powerhouses of all Asia.
With East Asia's continued economic growth and art collectors' passion for Chinese fine arts and antiquities, what happens in Hong Kong will shape the future of the past.